This is the Flam-40 Flamethrower. Initially thought to be weak, this support weapon stratagem actually has a lot of uses that make it very viable. And in the right pyromaniac hands, this weapon can sear your enemies with the flame of liberty. Even before the buff, this gun did have some hidden uses that were being overlooked, but now that it has been buffed, there is no doubt this thing melts. Dr. Pooplove here, and this is my guide for the Flam-40 Flamethrower. Let's get right into it. Now, the Flam-40 is a support weapon stratagem that you can buy at level 10. It has a 480-second cooldown time and a 3-second call-in time, and it is incendiary, meaning that it catches stuff on fire, including your very flammable teammates. Now, it does take a little while to get the flames out of this thing, as you do need to blow the air out of it in order to rev it up. However, once you initially do this, the flame stays pretty good for a while and allows you to shoot it quicker. Even after this flame disappears, you do have a little time to spit fire right away. You can also do something I call a pump shoot with this to conserve some ammo, especially when the swarm has started to thin out and you just kind of want to take out little targets here and there. You can pump your flames to conserve that ammo, or you can let the flames ride, sweeping back and forth, especially when you're surrounded. Now, here's what it looks like in the first person perspective. However, I don't think it's ever really advisable to do so. In fact, you can just use this thing by hip firing it and moving your camera, which will give you a bigger field of view to see what's going on. Now, I do have some other pro strats for this weapon, but first I want to talk about what this is actually effective against and what it isn't. So, to be real, the flamethrower is not the best against the automatons. Sure, it can take down the smaller guys and it takes out the AT-ST walkers fast, but this is a close range weapon and you need to spend a lot of time closing that gap to make good use of it. And doing so on these bot missions will often get you killed. And don't even get me started on the Hulks. These things are basically immune to the flame, which is kind of unfair because their flamethrower wipes the floor with me, but I guess they probably are forged in fire, so it honestly makes sense. As far as tanks go, I have no idea because I can't get close enough to them to test it. But that's the point. This weapon is best used for the swarms, which is why the flamethrower truly shines against the Terminids. Not only does this gun wipe out the swarms easily, the flames will bypass the armor and get right down to the weak spots. And versus the Charger, well, this is probably the fastest weapon to take this out. Yes, even better than the railgun pre-nerf. I've been having great success with this by focusing my flame on one of their legs, and doing so will allow them to basically crumble, meaning that with the flamethrower, you can easily control the swarms and the chargers for your team. Versus the Bile Titan, it can take out the sacks, but it is hard to stay close to this thing, so it's not really the best against it. Now, just because this gun is good against the bugs doesn't mean it doesn't have some flaws. This gun has some major downsides, like the fact that when you wield this thing, you are basically a walking liability. You can easily get yourself killed by the flames as well as your own teammates. What happens is the flames will burn the ground, even ice beneath you, and it will stay for a while, so you don't really want to walk where you just shot. One thing I recommend is aiming this weapon a little bit upwards to avoid burning the immediate ground in front of you. Another way to save yourself is if you do end up catching on fire, the best thing you can do is stop, drop, and dive. Basically, by diving to the ground, it's going to put that fire out and immediately stop the burning. Another pro strat is when you are about to get swarmed, dive backwards while firing this thing to get some extra distance away from your target while continuing to damage them. Just be careful to release the flame before you hit the ground, because you will end up burning yourself. Another good pairing that I've noticed with the flamethrower is the jetpack. As you are burning the area around you, it is great to be able to fly away from all the chaos. And also in general, when the swarms get to be too much, you can just jump away and reset your position. Additionally, elevation is great for using the flamethrower, and the jetpack can help you get to those high spots, allowing you to take out multiple swarms of enemies without much risk to yourself. And you can also do this cool move where when you're heading towards the enemies, you can jump while continuing to fire the flamethrower, allowing for a lot of extra carnage. Now, despite your best efforts, you probably will damage yourself a lot. And so armor with a little more padding seems to help a bit. Although generally what I like to use is anything with the medkit perk, because this gives me extra stims to account for the likely extra damage I will inflict upon myself. And also, yeah, just make sure you are being a crazy pyromaniac away from your team, as the last thing you want to do is take them out. But yeah, the flamethrower is definitely viable and something I think we will start seeing a lot more on the battlefield, at least against the bugs. But do you have any additional tips for this thing? Let me know in the comments, and thank you to my YouTube members for joining the Bowel Movement. But otherwise, so long, Pooper Troopers.